Hey, today on the mic with Mike, here to talk about Harrisonville Wildcat football. Got Coach Max and Pick here today. Guys, thanks so much for being here today. And I'm probably not the only person that's excited about this season. Pick, what do you think about this? Are you guys pretty excited? What have you been doing all summer?
Yeah, we're super excited. We've been outside, we've been on the field in the weight room, getting all kind of work done, hitting each other.
Yeah, hitting each other.
Yeah,
probably the most fun of it. Coach Max, what do you think, man? I know you. How long have you been coaching?
This will be year 25, 26 total, 19 here at Harrisonville. Yeah. So it's treated me well.
Wow, 19 years here. Been a Wildcat quite a while, huh?
Has been.
What's your feelings on this team coming up? What do you think their advantages are and strengths and weaknesses?
You know, I'm super excited. I mean, you get excited every year, I think. You know, you want to improve upon the year prior, obviously, and we've worked all off season trying to figure out what those little things are that we need to get better at, and hopefully we've identified those. But everything we've asked this group to do so far this summer, they've definitely strove to achieve those goals and surpassed many of them. We still have a lot of work to do, just as any team does.
Absolutely.
But they've given tremendous effort in the weight room, at camp. You know, we've installed a few new things. Went down to Branson a couple weeks ago and competed against them in a joint scrim or practice and scrimmage type thing.
Yeah.
And they're a solid team coming off of I believe a 12-1 record last year. And
wow, what class are they?
They're either a very large class 5 or maybe class 6.
Wow, Pick, how was that going against those guys?
It was a blast. It's always fun to go down there. I think the past couple of years we've whooped up on them.
Yeah,
but this year they put up a little bit more of a challenge. But I still think we went out there and we competed.
Do you feel like this year that like they were better, or do you think that maybe they just had a little more pep in their step, a little confidence coming off that 12-1 season? That's something to carry on. That you got something to prove.
I really think it could have been both.
Yeah.
I mean, if we had gotten a 12-1 record last year, I would think
you'd have been in there cracking skulls too. Yeah.
But coming out, I still think we still worked hard out there. We still hit them pretty hard.
Now, Pick, how long have you been playing football?
I've been playing since 7th grade.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because you went to East Lynn, right? And then okay, yeah. What? You just love it. Loved it from day one.
Yeah, it's been so much fun.
I know. Yeah, I agree with that.
Maybe back in 7th grade when he first started running, I'm thinking, do I want to do this? But no.
Wait, you want me to run how far? Yeah.
You think it's a while when you back then, but it's been just getting more and more fun every year.
What is your future look like? I mean, are you thinking that you're going to want to go on to play, or are you just kind of like, hey, I'm having fun and we'll see where it takes me?
I would love to go on to play. I think I have the skills to be able to do it. I've sent out a couple emails to some colleges, hoping to get some attention, but I haven't really got anything back. But
it's weird. I can tell you this. They're watching even when they're not answering. So make sure that your attitude on the field is good and your grades are up, and things will happen. Coach, listen, let's just be real, man. I love you to death. And it's probably for the wrong reasons. Most people would think that I would praise you because, you win state championships and so forth. And then honestly, that's not it. It's more about that I know you care more about these young men being quality young men when you let them out than you do winning football games. And unfortunately, your job is probably secured on the wins versus, the product that you're producing. But just tell me if you can, what do you see any difference in this class versus some of the classes in the past? And not anybody specific, just in general. Like, is there something special about them? Because I know that you've been coaching long enough that you know that you kind of know when you got something.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
Sure. Obviously that remains to be seen. But what I've seen so far, I'm very impressed.
What do you think they have?
I think success, you're right. Generally, everybody determines that by the scoreboard. They're looking for that instant gratification, and while that's awesome, and our goal obviously is to go win a state championship. That's every team's goal in the state of Missouri. But the reality is, only one team's going to do that
from every class.
64 schools in a class. So, if that's what our ultimate goal is, then we've probably got our priorities a little skewed, in my opinion. So yeah, we do look at. We want to win, but I think you can learn some things through losing as well. But I think you can win and sometimes take step backwards if you don't do things the right
Sure.
way. So really, we're trying to put that ultimate, product out there and help our men, or help our young men grow into responsible, citizens that are going to be beneficial to our communities, to their families when they get older. And that's not something that you just develop overnight.
Yeah.
That's not an instant reward or instant gratification type thing. So I'm super proud of this year's team, this year's senior class, especially so far, and the fact that I've not heard the word "I" come out of any of their mouths. It's we. We're going to do this. We're going to do this, and that's huge. I think when you can put the goal of the team in front of your own special interest, or hopes of getting postseason accolades and things like that, you quickly find that success will find you. And all of those other things will chase, suit quickly after as well.
Yeah.
So,
Pick, do you feel like you guys are like, so last year's class, right, with Nate and Brandon and all those guys? I mean, like, that was a class that literally dominated all the way through, like Pee Wee football and middle school, C team, JV, and a tremendous amount of talent. And I mean, it just seemed like it was the perfect storm last year, right? Nate's out for a little while. There was a ton of illness, right, Coach? Didn't you guys go through the flu or stomach flu or something like that for a couple of weeks? And I mean, do you feel like you guys are kind of the underdog? Like nobody's really paying attention to you guys? Like, what's your opinion on that?
I 100% think that. I think just like you were talking about earlier, while Nate Reynolds has been, or just the Reynolds in general, has been the name of Harrisonville.
Yeah.
I think people seeing him, go on to college and stuff can make him think that we don't have anything anymore.
Right.
But this team has been together for years.
Yeah.
Like, the main core of this team has been playing football for years and years together. I think just the bond and the trust that we're able to have on the field, that's gonna show.
Yeah. I think that the fact that you can recognize that so early in the season as a young man, I mean, I'm not going to lie, that gets me really excited, because if you're talking about it, I know your teammates are talking about it, and because I know that you guys believe in that. And so, like, it's not just a punchline, right? It's not like, well, today on the Mike with Mike, we're going to talk about quality things. Like, you're like, no, like, this is what we believe, this is what we do. And I can tell you that having a young man that is on this team, my youngest son, I can tell you that he feels the same way. I know he hasn't been there all summer, but he's been a little busy doing other things, and he always has, and he's always felt that same way about all of you guys, and that all you guys get along in the core brotherhood, just the relationships that you guys have on and off the field, and how much success you can have with that. And I know that he and I talk about it with his brothers too, about together. If you're trying to carry a telephone pole by yourself, it probably not going to happen no matter how strong you are. But if you get 10 guys that are all working in the same direction, boy, we can carry that thing to Alaska, and so the same thing applies when you get on the football field. And I think that attitude and that mental aptitude to overcome those moments that don't really always go your way. I hate to go throw back too far, but I've been watching Wildcat football for a long time, not quite as long as Coach Max, but pretty close. And I remember our 2015 team. I don't even remember the kids' names that were on the team, but I know it was a tremendous team. And I know that we went to Webb City to play them in the playoffs game. And I believe that if we win that game, we go to state. If it was pretty close, that was like one of the games that we had to win to go to state. And I remember watching them, and it was like a 3rd and 7, right? And Webb City converted to a first down. And I remember watching those guys kind of like just drop their head. Right. And then, then it was a first down, and then it was a 7-yard gain and an 8-yard gain. And they just seemed to like they never really gave up, but they just seemed to kind of lose their pet.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, we're not going to win this game. And we didn't. We lost the game, and we went home, and they did a great job. They were great young men. But the next year in 2016, when Coach Max won his state championship, throw that out there for you, Coach. Those young men were in the same situation in Webb City on the same area of the field. And I remember they got a first down, and I remember our defense was like, do it again. I dare you to try to do it again. Line up and see if you can do it again. And I mean, they would gain some, and we'd push them back, and we ended up winning that game. I don't even remember what the score was, but I know that we went on to win state that year. And I think that that's the mentality that I feel like you guys will have is yeah, you punch me in the mouth, you knock me down, see if you can do it again, And I think that there's a difference between like having confidence and then having grit, you know, and being tough. And I think that as you guys build your confidence, you already have the grit and the toughness. And I think that's going to show a lot. I really, really, really am excited for you guys. And I know you've been working hard, and I just can't wait to see it. Tell me what your greatest moment in football so far has been. Like, what is just the one thing that you will just never forget? I mean, it could be the bus ride, it could be Branson, it could be the locker room, it could be anything. What is it?
We thinking high school or we?
Yeah, I mean,
anytime?
Yeah, anytime.
I mean, as an O-lineman, you don't get a lot of big moments, but I think if we think back to like middle or elementary, there was one play where I'm playing D-end.
Yeah.
They hike the ball. It's a run play. I get right through. I tackle the quarterback and the running back.
Yeah.
It's a handoff.
Yeah.
But
yeah. What team was that against?
I feel like
doesn't even matter, but they still feel you today.
I think back to 7th grade when my the things I remember the most was walking out that first time ever.
Yeah.
Stadium.
Yeah.
I would have thought it was Arrowhead.
Yeah.
It looked huge to me.
Absolutely.
It's crazy to think back because now I get on the field, it's a normal thing to me now.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is that if you remember that, you know, to yourself, you're not, you don't take that for granted, because I can tell you right now, our facilities and our bus, our Big Blue program, like if you go to college, buddy, you probably won't be riding the Big Blue. They'll charter their own. The school won't have one. I know that Logan, he went to Culver Stockton, and I mean, they had a bus, but they chartered it, and it was, and he was like, Dad, it's not anything like what we do. I mean, our locker rooms are nicer, our stadiums are as nice, and so that's something that as a community we don't we take for granted. A lot of people don't give us credit for that. So I think that's awesome. Coach Max, let's talk about offense. Tell me what you got. Don't tell us your secrets. We don't want to know what you got up your sleeve, but where are your strengths, weaknesses? How do you feel? I know that we lost Nate, we lost Brandon as running backs. Like, what you guys have some plans to take care of that stuff?
Well, again, we got a long ways to go. We've shown a lot of promise so far. The couple weeks we've been in camp and again through the weight room. It all starts up front.
Yeah.
Just to be quite honest, and we do return 3 offensive linemen this year. Our center, and then both of our tackles. So, you always hope for that, but obviously, again, you lose some, to graduation, and you hope to find the replacements for them. And we're fortunate not to have to do that this year at those 3 positions. In fact, Aiden here, he won't ever say a whole lot, but he got a little bit of playing time as a freshman. I mean, he was a big kid, probably wasn't ready, to be quite honest, but we needed him to step in and play due to a couple injuries, and he never complained. He just went in there and gave us the very best that he could. So we're looking to build upon that experience, and Bryson, on the flip side of that, has had two solid years of starting experience now. Trenton Hyder at center had done a tremendous job last year as a sophomore, got better as the year went on. He's grown, he's put on some weight this year, gotten stronger, and just matured. So we got to find two more people at the guard positions, and we believe we've done that. Guys just being selfless. They definitely don't want to play the offensive line per se. They have the other positions they would prefer to play, but again, they're just like, tell me what I got to do to help this team be successful.
Yeah.
I mean, again, you only get a short amount of time to get to do these things, and so they've chosen to step into positions that maybe they're not comfortable with or just would rather not play. And they've just embraced that, though, and I don't think they're going to give us everything they got. Coming back at quarterback at this point anyway, Levi Hall, did okay last year.
He really, I mean, that was one of the things that was pleasantly surprising is how fast he kind of gained traction, and did that. And I remember asking him one time after the game, "Hey, you having fun doing this?" And he was like, "I am." And you could just tell that confidence, and I mean, that kid can run, I mean, with the best of them.
Absolutely. I think he ended up being a 1,000-yard rusher last year as well at the quarterback position. And so that's exciting to know that we have that returning. He knows he can't, take it too easy, though, because he does have Striker Gilmore right on his heels. Striker, he's a talented young man.
What grade Striker in?
A sophomore.
Yeah, sophomore.
So if he's not playing quarterback, he'll probably play some receiver for us.
Yeah.
Again, just has some talent and some skill there that it comes naturally.
Yeah.
Hope he'll continue to work hard.
Yeah.
And develop those skills, because he could be pretty special, I think. we got some kids in the backfield again, sophomore, maybe 2 sophomores. We'll see,
Yeah.
or an inexperienced junior. But they've done tremendously well so far this year. We obviously have Keller returning at tight end, and that's going to be a huge force this year in both the run and the pass game. I think they figured out last year he was kind of one of our primary receivers on certain plays, and we hope to continue to build off of that. But I do feel like we have a receiving core that we'll be able to take a little bit of pressure off of him. So he can still get some quality catches and maybe even get the rest a little bit, so he can still be very beneficial on defense as well. So that's probably going to be our biggest change this year. Our numbers are down a little bit this year.
Yeah.
For whatever that reason may be, we'll continue to study that and figure out, is it something that we're doing?
Yeah.
Do we need to do better, or is it just that cycle? All schools kind of go in that cycle, and but we will have a majority of our guys probably playing both ways this year. Whereas in the past, we've really tried to 2 platoon, and they would still learn both sides of the ball. But we always felt like if this guy was at 90% and this guy was at 85% at a certain position, if he went ahead and focused on all of the offensive side of the ball, he could become really, really good at that instead of just good at both sides.
Sure.
And even though this other guy may not be quite there, he's pretty close. But again, if he's focusing on that full time, he should be able to raise his,
Absolutely.
level of play. But this year we just don't have that luxury. Again, we got some great kids, and they're working extremely hard. But the fact of the matter is, some of them just they're young, they're inexperienced, and they're just not quite ready yet. So by the end of the year, they may be, and maybe we can do that. I do think there's some benefits to that at times. If you only have to play one side, you stay fresh. And,
Yeah.
But we're going into it with the mentality that our conditioning is going to look a little differently this year to prepare those guys for those early games, especially with the heat that usually comes with that the first month or so, and they've embraced that. So,
Pick, what do you think? So Coach had mentioned that you played some as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that? One of the things that we struggle with in the stands, right, which is not for you guys to worry about, but it is interesting to me, is moms and dads feel like that their baby should be playing like my baby could do that. And so the reality is there is a big change between freshman and senior and C team and varsity. How do you feel as a young man that played your freshman year on varsity and last year played? How big of a transition is that?
I think it is a big difference. I think the main difference is just the passion,
right,
that all the players have on the field.
On varsity?
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, because freshman year, I did get a few reps for varsity, but
right.
I mostly played C team.
Gotcha.
And it's just no matter who's out on the field, if you look at that other team, there's a good chance you got some people out there just for fun.
Right.
The parents are making them, stuff like that. They might not care that much about how this game goes.
Right.
But, our team, even our C team, I think still has that passion.
Yeah.
I think that's what helped me, going to varsity.
Yeah.
I cared about the game.
Yeah.
So when I went to varsity, it wasn't like I was surprised about how much these guys cared on what happened on that field.
Because you took what you had on C team. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you were a freshman, your C team was mostly freshmen, right? Almost everybody was a freshman on your C team. That's what I thought. So now you guys get to take that you had as a freshman. It's grown as you've went, and now you're going to apply the same attitude as a senior year. Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier about how this team has been together.
Yeah,
we all started. Besides Tyson.
Yeah.
Tyson.
Oh, Tyson.
Tyson got to start varsity.
Yeah.
But the rest of us, we all started C team. We're all a team.
Yeah.
We weren't spread out. We were a team from all the way from freshman year.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that. I feel like that's probably more important than I think that's something we overlook a lot.
Yeah.
As coaches and community, I know I've talked to Jace about it. I know I had the opportunity to play varsity as a freshman, and the thing that we don't understand as parents, I think that we overlook a lot. Maybe we do understand, we don't care. Maybe they don't understand. Is how much our babies grow from the time we just got them out of middle school. Now you're a freshman, and by the time you're a senior, your body changes a lot. Your mentality changes a lot. Your everything.
Yeah.
And varsity football is high speed, low drag, and let's get it on. And I think that I just think that's something that parents overlook all the time. They see somebody struggling on the field, right, in any position, and they think, oh, my kid can do it better, or the ridiculousness that comes with some of the stuff of, oh, I heard they paid the coach so they could play. No, Karen, we didn't pay the coach so the kid could play. Like, the kid just works hard. Because I think that's something that also they don't understand is that just because your son or daughter is talented, that does not mean that they're applying that in practice. Well, if the coaches can't see that your child is working hard in practice, why would they ever think that they would do it in a game? If you can't give us effort, right, in practice, why would you give that to us in the game? And so I feel like that's something that is just always a topic of discussion, amongst people. And I mean, between that and why don't we throw the ball? I mean, I think that why don't we throw the ball? Let's see. Coach Meek said it best. There's only 3 things that can happen. Complete the pass, that's good. Incomplete, interception, or whatever. Maybe 3 things. I don't remember. Coach Meeks would have to tell you what it was. But I mean, the reality is that, let's be real. Like, you can say, oh, our quarterback's horrible. Well, maybe if your receiver son would run, you know what I mean? Maybe it'd be different. Maybe it's the line doesn't block. Well, I mean, maybe it's not the line. Maybe it's something else. And they just don't know. And they're so quick to run their mouths. I wish they would just learn to just be patient and let it evolve. I mean, one thing I've learned from Coach Max over the years is, like, he always says, it's going to be week 2, week 3, week 4. We'll kind of have all the bugs worked out. So you go into the first game and you do good or you do bad, and then it's either Coach Max is the savior of the world, or he's the worst coach in the world, and then and then week 3 or 4, and then by week 5, we're doing good things and we're moving forward and everything is kind of firing, and then you still have a hiccup, but we don't ever, like, just be patient. Let them cook, right? Isn't that what they say nowadays? Let them cook, right? So, Coach, I know you don't want to talk about that stuff, but what do you have with that? I mean, what are some of the biggest struggles as a head coach that you find with balancing, your team, young people, the transition that they go through from being a freshman to a senior, and then obviously dealing with parents in general? I mean, what do you want to touch on that any?
Yeah, no, not a problem. It's that's probably the biggest challenge, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Is just trying to find that balance of doing what's best for all of our kids. It's tough as a parent. I'm a parent myself. Fortunately, probably to 3 daughters and not having any sons, although I feel like I've probably coached many sons.
Yeah, that's true.
Over the years. But it's difficult. Even as a father of a daughter coming through in 7th grade, she played on the 7th grade team. And the 8th grade, they play on an 8th grade team. When they get to freshmen, now they're more than just a freshman potentially at a school our size. Sure. We have to make that decision. Then do we go ahead and keep them all at that freshman level and let them compete one more year by themselves? So they can continue to get to know each other and develop those skills. Or there are a few of them that either they've worked their tail off, or maybe they've just been blessed with genetics. Sometimes that happens more than others, and that doesn't mean any of our kids are bad kids.
Absolutely.
We can't let that define them whether they're playing C football, JV football, or varsity football. They're just kids, and we try to get them to focus on that process. Then it's going to take time. Everybody's going to develop differently, physically, but even mentally. So, there's been years that, if we have a freshman that's good enough to play on varsity, that's tough. We don't have that very often. Right. We've had it a couple times, since I've been here, to be quite honest. But if he's capable of doing that, we're going to do that.
Sure.
We'd like not to have to do that. But we like to keep our freshmen together if at all possible. But obviously the goal, right, wrong, or indifferent, is to win on Friday nights. Again, it's so much bigger than that, to be quite honest. But on Friday night, at the end of the night, the only thing that matters is the scoreboard.
Yeah.
So they don't, those people don't care whether a kid was in the weight room one time during the summer or whether he didn't miss a day.
Right.
To be quite honest. And that's probably one of the hardest conversations. Sometimes we will have some kids that do not miss a day.
Right.
Especially if they're a sophomore, junior, or senior. And unfortunately, though, there may still be somebody that's just slightly better than them at a certain position. And while we want to reward those kids that do show up every day, they deserve that. At the end of the day, we have to put the best product on the field so our whole entire team and our community is successful. And that's tough to swallow as a coach. If there's a coach out there that isn't tough for, then I think
Sure.
they're in the wrong profession.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
Yeah.
anyway. But there's been years that we've tried to move freshmen up in place in JV. Again, trying to develop the best product we can on that at that level on Monday nights, because obviously we're trying to prepare not just our varsity for this year, but prepare the JV for the next 2, 3, 4 years coming. And then if everybody else will play, that C level team we see instead of freshmen. I mean, at one point it was called freshman, now it's C, because it can be a conglomeration, but that tend to hurt maybe some egos
Yeah.
a little bit,
Yeah.
and that's not what it's intended for. I get it, but again, that doesn't define who you are as a person. I think how you respond to that probably does.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, if you love football, you go play football at no matter what level.
Absolutely.
No matter what level it's at. And again, I know that's tough to swallow sometimes, but I do feel like that's the reality. But there's been many people that as a freshman, I was like, I don't know, this is a great kid, and we are going to let him be a part of this team no matter what, as long as he continues to be a great teammate. We'll support and do whatever we ask him to do. But I don't know if he'll ever step foot on the field on a Friday night in a meaningful situation. And that has nothing to do with the kid as a person.
Right.
He just wasn't necessarily blessed, but lo and behold, 3-4 years down the road, that kid's starting for us on a Friday night. And he could have easily given up, as a freshman, as a sophomore, as a junior. And we see that just because they don't trust in that process. And that's difficult. And that may be where we're at a little bit, this year. Again, knowing that guys are going to play both ways instead of just one way. There's not as many positions open.
Right.
And I hate that. But again, it's just one of the tough decisions that I have to make ultimately as a head coach, but our coaching staff collectively has made. And we feel like it's going to be best for our team this year and moving forward.
I know that I talked to Bryson Cecil a little bit about it, and we were talking about Branson, and we were talking about you at defensive end, right? And he was just kind of like, yeah. I said, so okay, who's on this side and who's on this side? And he's like, Pick's on that side. I said, oh, that's the side that Keller would normally play on. He's like, yeah. And he was just kind of looking at me, and I'm like, no, Bryson, like, if Pick is in there at defensive end killing it, like, here's the deal. If somebody goes down or something happens, right? Heaven forbid, like if you have been getting those reps all year, all summer, right? We're not hurt. Nobody's mad. Nobody's feelings hurt. Nobody's crying at home. You know what I mean? Like, we're like, oh, hell yes. This is what we need. Like we need everybody on the same thing, working together, as you have said multiple times, Pick, and I appreciate that more than you could ever imagine. But like, I think that's the attitude. You know what I mean? I mean, I have said it 100 times, and I've been that parent. Like, I'm telling you right now, I have 5 boys, and I have been through every stage of that parent, right? I mean, like, I've been the one that's almost went on the field. I've been the one that wanted to kill the coach. I have. And the thing that I have come to understand and realize, which I always knew from my own experience in life, is that it doesn't matter, right? Like, nobody is judging your mom and dad on how you perform on the field. Nobody cares how many touchdowns you score. They care on Friday night. But as soon as you graduate, they don't care anymore. Nobody cares, right? But man, if you go on to do something great after football, after you graduate, and represent your community in a positive manner, buddy, we're winning. Because if you can do it, then whoever's next you can do it, and whoever's next to them can do it. And that is what it's all about, right? I mean, in a perfect world, we want everybody that is doing great things all over the world that you will never see on the news, but we want everybody to be from Harrisonville. We want everybody that is doing great things all over the world to be from Harrisonville, right? And we challenge every other community to raise the same quality young men and women, because the reality is that you guys are our future of this world. Like not the future of Harrisonville, the future of the entire world. We have to start doing something about promoting the people that are going out and doing great things in whatever field they choose to, because the reality is in today's society, all we see is a lot of negative. You see a lot of kids that do bad things or whatever. Well, there's a lot of people doing good stuff too. So we're ready to do that. Hey, we'll be right back after this for the word from our sponsors. Hey, over here at Mom the Mic with Michael, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors. How about 2-3 Construction Services, LLC? Ethan Young, great guy, local guy, does fantastic work. Absolutely fantastic work. I mean, he's one of those guys, he does the work and you go, would you look at that? It is fantastic. Concrete patios, everybody needs a patio to party on, right? It's Saturday night. Let's break out some cold drinks and let's have a little party. Ethan Young is your man for the patio. You need some sidewalks? Somebody needs to get to stepping? Huh? Everybody knows somebody needs to get to stepping, if you know what I mean. You let Ethan Young come put your sidewalks in, they'll be stepping in style. I'll tell you that right now. Driveways, no problem. Ethan Young take care of them driveways for you. You need some let's talk about this. Steel building foundations. Now listen, everybody has that moment where the wife's trying to move in the in-laws, right? Or maybe maybe your husband's trying to move in the in-laws. Maybe move that mother-in-law in that you just don't want to have living under your roof. Let Ethan Young come in with 2-3 Construction and let him put in a steel building foundation to build a new steel building. And then your in-law will be an outlaw. Yeah, how about that? Outlaws. Out of your house laws. You know what I'm saying? That's the best kind of in-laws is the ones that are outlaws out of your house. Skid steer work? Let me tell you right now. Ethan Young can handle a skid steer better than you can handle the skid marks inside of your britches. I'll tell you right now, you want it level, you want a berm, he is the man to take care of that stuff right now. Grading, building pads, you name it. My friends over at 2-3 Construction, Ethan Young, give him a call. 816-533-2119. Appreciate you guys.
On the Mic with Mike is sponsored today by J5 Custom. Pretty much everything custom you can think of when it comes to automotive stuff, they make. They build furniture, they build stereos. Pretty much everything that you see in the set right now was built by J5. This table, these chairs, really good stuff. And we're actually in their shop using their studio right now. So big shout out to them. We really appreciate them, letting us come in and do all this crazy stuff. So give J5 a call and thanks.
Hey guys, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to come and kind of share some of your stuff with us. My last question I have for you is this. I want to know what your vision of success is. Like, whether it's in football, high school, life, like, what is your vision of success? And then what are you doing to obtain that success? What do you got, Pick?
I think I'm going to focus on the football aspect first. I think everyone's success, everyone thinks their vision of success is going to state, win state.
Yeah.
But I think being able to we really try to coach tells everyone they need to watch film. I think being able to look back and watch film and tell how much you've progressed. Yeah. And be able to see that progression over the years, I think that is a big part of success, especially when it comes to the football field.
Yeah.
I think that correlates to everything off the field too.
Yeah.
Being able to, same thing with school and grades and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Going through harder and harder classes. And even like with me, I've always kind of been a straight A student, but even keeping those same grades, but doing harder and harder things in those classes, right. That's how you see progress.
Just challenging yourself every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every year, do harder and harder classes, even if I don't want to, it sucks having to go do those harder classes and actually have to do homework outside of the classroom and study outside of the classroom. Yeah. But it's worth it, when you go home and get your report card and see all those A's.
Absolutely. It is amazing you just said that because that is so real in today's world. So Logan is my second oldest son, right? And he went to college, he played soccer, graduated college, had a degree, came back, and you will get this if you do this, but he thought, I have a college degree, I'm set for life. And he found out this world's cruel and it's not easy and nobody really cares if your college degree or what it says. And so he said, Dad, I would like to maybe talk to you about just taking over your company and working with you or whatever. And I was like, okay. And he is my son that he was always involved in sports, man. He all baseball, soccer, basketball, soccer, baseball. I mean, just always going, and was very rarely at work with us, not as much as the other boys. Mm-hmm. and we struggled. Like it was a big struggle for me to see some of the other boys come in and they just naturally knew how to do this stuff or whatever, and we were struggling a lot. And one day I just told him, I said, stop focusing on what you don't know, and accept how far you've come, everything that you look back and all the progress that you've made, and when you can focus on that, well, then we can go back and look forward. But the reality is that all these things that you didn't know that you've overcome in such a short amount of time, and that's really good advice. And I'm super excited for you to know that at such a young age. So stay focused on that, because that is very real, and it does apply to the world when you get out of school. What do you want to do when you graduate? Like, you have any plans? Any thoughts?
I think definitely engineering.
Yeah.
I've been, kind of back and forth on what I kind of want to do. I've been leaning towards more of an architectural engineering kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Let me tell you something. If you're an engineer, just understand what goes on your paper doesn't always apply in the real world. So just have a little patience with the guys that are building stuff. Coach Max, what do you got, buddy?
I don't know that I could have said it much better than ourselves. I hope we win a lot of football games this year, but if we don't win a game, I feel like we've won at something.
Absolutely.
Ultimately, my definition of success is growth.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, and we do, and at times I wonder if they're ever listening to anything that we say, but I appreciate the fact that he mentioned that, film and just seeing the progress that they've made, throughout the years. It is. I mean, it's from season to season. It's from the beginning of a season to the end of a season. It's from kindergarten through your senior year in high school. It's, from graduating high school to college, or, going to the military, or going directly into the workforce, whatever it is that you choose to do. Just challenging yourself.
Yeah.
And just appreciate that growth and strive for that. If you're not willing or able to do that, then life gets pretty mundane and stagnant pretty quick. And you tend to then start finding excuses as to why you can't or you're not successful, and you start blaming others. And don't get me wrong, everybody is struck with tough times,
Absolutely.
At some point in their life.
Yeah.
But how you respond to that, I think, is just another piece of that growth that you have to almost force yourself to embrace. You may be coming into from 8th grade to high school. That's a tough transition.
Absolutely.
You used to be in the top dog in the middle school, and now you're back to the bottom at the high school socially, size wise for the most part. It's a tough transition. You go from having a few extracurricular activities to be able to participate into, 20 plus, just trying to find your niche and who you are as an adult. If you wait around and have somebody choose that for you, you're never going to be happy. But if you choose to embrace that and take yourself out of that comfort zone, and start to embrace that growth, then I think good things are going to happen. If you have a 2.0 GPA at the end of your freshman year, that doesn't mean you have to be stuck there. You can continue to work and challenge yourself and just don't become comfortable.
Right.
Don't, just continue to work, and you can be a 3.5 student, and if you're giving everything that you can, and you're a 3.5 student, to me, that's a 4.0.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I don't believe everybody is a straight A student, but I think if you give great effort,
I wasn't.
Nor was I. And there was times I probably didn't give my best effort, and that's probably the times that I look back now though and think, you know what, man, if I would have just done this, but I just think, growth is probably the biggest thing. You're not going to win at everything. You're going to apply for a job when you get older, and hopefully you're going to get some of them, but you're not going to get them all.
Absolutely.
And again, that doesn't necessarily mean it's that you're a bad person, or it may just mean that they were just a little bit better fit for one reason or the other. But you know what? That next job that you apply for may be a way better job than you expected in the first place. So just taking all those learning experiences and growing.
I think, Pick, do you know who Emmett Smith is?
Yeah.
Okay. Whew, thank God. So there was a commercial that came out. I believe it was a Nike or Reebok commercial. After the Dallas Cowboys in the 90s, after they won the Super Bowl, there was a commercial, and it was him in a weight room, and it said something about like, I won the Super Bowl, I can rest now. And he literally sits there for 1 second lays back on the bench, picks the weight up, and starts pumping iron again. You know, and it's just it. It's like okay, I've accomplished that. Take a moment to appreciate what you've accomplished, and then get right back to work because nobody cares. Just work harder. Yep. Nobody cares. Hey, thank you guys so much for being on today. I wish you the best of luck. Of course, I will be there. I'll do my best to make sure you hear me there. We'll get the schedule posted on this, so everybody will be sure to come out and support the Wildcats. Thank you guys so much for everything, and see you soon.